Lots of news today, and we're going to start with this. This is so weird to me. NVIDIA is actually doing this kind of marketing campaign that I've never really seen before, 18 months into a graphics card's, generation's life cycle. Restocked and reloaded. The GeForce RTX 30 series graphics cards are now available. Remember, we are 18 months, right? I can probably count. I'm a math teacher, not really a numbers person. Anyway, get the ultimate play with immersive ray tracing, blah, blah, blah. They're really advertising that their cards are more now available. Now, honestly, AMD cards have been getting more available and closer to MSRP as well, and I have been reporting this on my community page. I like to browse computer deals, guys. Before I even started my YouTube channel, I already did that anyway. And so now when I see ones that I think you guys might be interested in, I'll post them. When they're Amazon links, I can even get a little cut of the revenue. But hey, so I'm just being honest. But sometimes I post ones that aren't, like even at Newegg, where I don't get a cut of anything. But I spotted an RX 6600 below MSRP, kind of. It's $10 over MSRP, but they do have a manufacturer rebate. Now, MSI rebates, feel free to talk to each other about that in the comment section. I feel like I'm in the way. Anyway, I've heard hit or miss results. I have heard some people actually get the rebates from MSI, but I heard some people say they don't. Anyway, the point is, if you did get the rebate, that gets you down to $325. And then, while Amazon prices tend to lag behind what I've seen from Newegg, they're starting to catch up. I did also see this at Amazon, the same deal, an RX 6600, same model and everything, with the same rebate available if you manage to get it, ships and sold by Amazon. So if you're avoiding Newegg, and Amazon does seem to have, better return policies and such, there you go. There's a GPU from this current generation, kind of available, sort of below MSRP. Look at that. Now, at the higher end, things are still expensive, but this 12 gigabyte 3080, I first spotted yesterday, and now I'm filming this video this morning, and it's still sitting here at $1,000. Guys, I spent so long wanting to buy a 3080 for $1,000. Yes, I understand this is way above MSRP, but technically, I will also mention that the 12 gigabyte model never really got an MSRP. It doesn't exist. Now, the 12 gigabyte model doesn't just have more memory, but that does solve most people's biggest concern with the 3080, which is 10 gigabytes of VRAM, a little bit concerning for the future for such a high-end card. 12 gigabytes is a lot better. I'm much less worried about that. And also performance-wise, to be able to support 12 gigabytes, there's actually other parts of the card that are upgraded a bit in terms of its memory bandwidth and such. The point being, it actually kind of splits the difference in performance, not just due to the VRAM, but in actual performance, between the 10 gigabyte and the 3080 Ti. 3080 Ti also being a 12 gigabyte card and does have an MSRP that's ridiculously stupid high, around $1,200. But the point is, hey, this is kind of now splitting the difference between those MSRPs, which if this got an MSRP might have been where it would be. The point is, I'm not saying rush out and buy this, but I am saying I haven't seen a 12 gigabyte 3080 just sitting in stock at Amazon for $1,000 ever. Anyway, let's talk about a few other things. I gotta make this video fast. I woke up late today, guys. You know I've tried to film these before, before I leave for work. Anyway, so a while back, I reported on Intel's Arc A350M getting benchmarked in gaming. Why did I accidentally click comments? Oh well. Anyway, A350M getting gaming performance tested. Now remember, this is a laptop GPU. Intel is leading with their laptops, and even then, it's like, where are those laptops? Well, they're in Korea. Apparently, you can buy the Samsung Galaxy Book Pro 2 or something like that in Korea only. At least it's South Korea. But the point is, people in that market have delivered tests, which I've reported on in the past, and those tests were very concerning. Because this reviewer, one of the reviewers who did those tests, has actually isolated a bit of a problem. So what we were seeing in those original testing was that in gaming, the GPU was not being fully utilized in almost any game at all, and that was severely limiting its performance. And that was using all of Intel's default settings and drivers and all of that. But they have now isolated a problem, DTT. Now, let me remind myself, okay, that is dynamic tuning technology, which is apparently something similar to AMD Smart Shift or NVIDIA Dynamic Boost, which are designed to shift power between the CPU and GPU depending on where it's needed most. And this is a laptop thing, guys. This is a laptop thing. Anyway, these are mobile chips. The point is, apparently, by turning that off, you can double your performance, which tells me that that is not working properly. And so I really think the reason why we're not seeing these all over the place and they just kind of paper launched it like, hey, yeah, there's this one available in South Korea for way too much money if you really want it. See, we launched it. Anyway, I think why that might be happening is because of issues like this. If your dynamic tuning technology is cutting your gaming performance in half while you're gaming, then I don't think it's dynamically shifting the power where it needs to be for the task at hand. That looked like Overwatch, but there were, this was happening in other scenes as well. I think that's still Overwatch. What is this one? Is this one PUBG? I don't know, man. But the point is it was happening in multiple games. And again, this one jumping from 45 FPS to 75 FPS and from 52.7 GPU usage to 95.7. So, I mean, this is like a good news and bad news thing. The good news is the performance is actually much better than that originally looked like it was going to be. The bad news is, come on, Intel, get your software together on this thing. This doesn't bode super well for the desktop launch. Now, speaking of the desktop launch, so this isn't like amazing new info exactly, but we do have a benchmark of the A770 desktop gaming card. This is the 512 execution unit version, and it does go up to 2.4 gigahertz in this leaked benchmark. Now, here's why I'm saying this isn't that big of a deal. The benchmark that's leaked here isn't that big of a deal. It's an OpenCL benchmark from Geekbench. Now, OpenCL doesn't actually line up super well with our actual gaming performance that we'll see. However, since this is the info we have, we might as well take a peek. One thing is that the memory configuration looks weird at 12.7 gigabytes, so I'm assuming that that's getting misreported. But this is actually at least getting reported accurately as an Intel Arc A770 graphics card. Also, we don't know if whoever's testing this would have, the official drivers that you would get actually at launch. I have a feeling Intel's still working on drivers, and that's one reason why we're seeing these kind of delayed. Now, according to WCCF Tech here, if you line up this performance with some other, competing graphics cards from AMD and NVIDIA, that's really putting it in line with the RTX 2070 or the 2060 Super, pretty significantly behind the 6700 XT, 2080, 3070, and 3070 Ti. However, notice that this is not a gaming test, and like the 6700 XT should probably actually be, higher up here if this was an actual gaming test. The point is, meh. Like, I don't want to dwell on this, but kind of interesting. Although, guys, at this point, Intel, you need to get your desktops GPUs out sooner, and you need to get your software in check. At least the desktop ones aren't going to rely on that dynamic tuning stuff. Anywho, all right, last little bit on some new graphics cards. So if you've been waiting for a low-profile RDNA2 card, you've been waiting a long time. And I don't know, if it was me, I would continue waiting, because this is an RX 6400. But it is low profile. So if you're in the market for a low profile card and you don't need a whole lot of gaming performance, Video Cards has a leak for us of a low profile RX 6400 coming in, which I understand for certain build situations is interesting. And it's looking like a low power requirement of 53 watts. My understanding would mean that I think means you don't need a power connector, so you can probably just run this off the PCIe slot, meaning I understand that for a certain type of build, someone might be interested in this. But if the 6400 has worse performance than the 6500 XT, just keep your gaming performance expectations in check. And the last little bit here, I wasn't sure I even wanted to talk about this because I think this isn't really going to be true, but So the 6950 XT, so the 50 models are rumored to be coming, still not officially confirmed by AMD and all that, but should have a bit faster memory, a little bit better gaming performance than their like 6900 or 6800. Well, we saw one listed, this is reported by Video Cards, at an Australian retailer for about $2,400 US. I'm hoping that that's just a mistake or a placeholder, so I don't want to talk too much about that. Considering that, like, I think yesterday on AMD Direct, people were actually able to grab the 6900 XT for $999. And I think that even, did that one stay in stock after the queue ended even? I think it did, so that's getting even better as well. All right, guys, I've got to get to work. Oh, and I'm not going to be able to do a video the next couple of days. I know I do a video almost every single day, but I'm headed out of town for the weekend to visit my mom. So anyway, I hope all of you have an excellent weekend.